Going to go ahead and get us started. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun writing this one. This is one of those topics that I love. You know, the teenager that was reading by flashlight, The Mists of Avalon, and all of Llewellyn's books, and, you know, the girl who just wanted to be a witch again, because I knew I was, loved studying this stuff and reading up about the moon and everything. And it wasn't really until my my Facebook group, actually, those girls just kept asking me about moon stuff, and I thought, I'm not the only one that wants to know this stuff. So I thought it would be a fun way to kick off our 3 webinars. I'm going to throw a lot of information at you between today and the next 2 days, and I wanted to make it fun as well as informative. So I'm hoping that you will have just as much fun as I did preparing, like listening to this, as I did preparing it, because I really do think it's been, I don't know, it's just been awesome to do, and I'm really excited to present this to you guys. So there's a Facebook commenting thing. I've got my eye on it down here. So if you have questions, if you want to comment anything, please feel free to hit it on there. I know that there's a little bit of delay, but I should be able to see it. And I really do hope to hear from you guys. And if you want to go ahead and comment where you're from, what you're hoping to hear today, because I might be able to work it in if it's not already on my list. Please do, and I'll be keeping an eye on it. And if that's not working for you, do feel free to post in my Facebook group if you're not already a member. It is facebook.com/groups/TRCLB. It stands for the Red Circle Lady Business. So TRCLB. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. So if you want to comment, please feel free. And also please feel free to post in the group. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the group just in case you guys are posting in there so that I can jump in there too. So I'm going to try my best to see everybody and everything. Okay, awesome. Let's dive in. All right, guys. So I wanted to kick us off with just a little bit of information. I am obviously here to support you in your menstrual cycles, as I am the period coach. But today I really want to talk about how the moon affects your flow, how to use the moon to help balance your flow or regulate your cycle, how to transform your life really in so many ways. And I'm really excited to share this information with you guys. Okay, let me pull out my notes here. All right, so I'm going to start off with a quick introduction. I'm Stasha. I'm the period coach. You probably know me from my Facebook group or other Facebook groups that I'm an active participant in because I love them and they help me so much. But I do get one question consistently, and I thought I'd address it here right at the beginning of these 3 webinars, and it's why I don't call myself something less confrontational, shall we say, as if calling myself the period coach and explaining that I help women with menstruation is confrontational. I don't think that should be confrontational. I think that should be awesome. But I do get that question a lot. So I don't call myself the fempreneur coach. I do work with women in business. I do help women-owned businesses run smoother and more efficiently. I do help solopreneurs run their businesses more efficiently. But I also just help average women that are having shitty periods. There's no other way to say that. Bad PMS, bad mood swings, whatever. I help with that. So yes, I could call myself the fempreneur coach. But I want to end the taboo around menstruation. That is my life vision, not just my business vision. That is my life vision. That means I spend time doing that free of charge because it's my life mission, which is really my Facebook group. I go in there constantly all day, every day, and I do try to ask questions and help women get at least guided down the right path to start their healing process. And that's my life right there. Now, My business mission statement is also to end the taboo around menstruation. So don't get fooled. But I also do that because I really believe that I can help. I know I can help, and I have helped. So it is also my business, right? Because you can't have one without the other as far as I'm concerned. You got to have your business statement in line with your life statement, or you're not going to get either accomplished, and you're going to feel both bad because you're not living your real path, but you're also going to feel crappy because you're going to a job you don't like. So they should be very related. I really do believe that the only way to end the taboo around menstruation is to just talk about it as if it's normal, and as if talking about it is okay and normal. So I stand proudly and declare what it is I do. And I get some really crazy answers and responses from people. Believe me, I could write a whole book of just people's reaction to me saying, "Hi, I'm Stasha, I'm the period coach." And maybe I will one day. So I work with women to bring the feminine into their business. But I also want to get down and dirty. I want to get into the blood. I want to get into the earth. I want to get into the ground and tap into your magic, whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you, whatever is unique to you, your particular magic. And I want to get in there, and it can be messy. So can periods. They can be messy, and there's nothing wrong with any of it. Sometimes life gets messy. And I don't know about you, but finger painting was a lot of fun as I was a kid, and I don't think it gets much messier than that. So I really like to get into the mess and get through it, because it's the only way to up-level our lives. And I really hope that by the end of today, you're going to see that big moon in the sky is going to help you get through the mess and into the magic. I really want you to be empowered by this class today. So again, please ask questions. I'm refreshing right now. So please ask questions, post comments, and I want to help you out with that. Okay, so your period is an untapped source of power, and it's there. It's just sitting there waiting for you. Every single day, you're in some phase of your menstrual cycle, and it's full of power, and it's just waiting for you. So in the next 3 webinars between today and Wednesday night, I'm going to absolutely show you the power that is in your period all month long, no matter what phase you're in, so that you can go boldly into the world with confidence and panache and style, and just be that juicy, luxuriously bold, brave girl that you are, and enjoy the life that you create on your terms. So that doesn't mean that I have some idea that you're going to go out and start like yelling from the rooftops and starting fights at the bar or anything. I'm actually expecting you to live your life on your terms, and that means staying home happily, missing out, JOMO, the joy of missing out, then awesome. And now you don't have to feel bad for not getting involved in stuff that you don't want to get involved with, right? So that's what I mean by living the life that you design for you and nobody else, all right? I started down this path when I got my first period because it sucked right out of the gate. I went to doctors, I went to female OBGYNs, I got some great creative tips, like if you're low in iron, cook in cast iron. If you feel faint or heady or weak, that's a sign that you may be low in iron. So cooking in cast iron is helpful, as well as incorporating animal products if you don't eat them, or incorporating way more greens, though I also was hypothyroid. So it turned out that incorporating way more greens was actually a bad idea for me, because that just depressed my thyroid. So I did learn a lot since then, and now I know a lot of things that are better. But when I first started out, I did not know any of these things, and I did my best, but there were no answers. And in high school, I passed out pretty much every month from my period. I passed out in the shower in the mornings. That was always fun. I passed out in the middle of English class one day and woke up in the nurse's office, so that was fun. By fun, I mean humiliating, because I was a teenager. But here I am today helping women around the world with their periods. So for all of the trials that I went through, I'm blessed to be here today and have such a clear calling of what I am to do with my life and my world. So I went through high school, I had really bad periods, I passed out, I threw up for about 3 days. Imagine the absolute worst food poisoning you ever had. and I'm gonna get a little graphic here, but you know the food poisoning where you don't know which end of your body to put over the toilet and you're hoping you can reach the sink, and that, yeah, every single month, every time I got my period, for a minimum of 2 days. Minimum of 2 days. More often, by the third day, I was so worn out because I hadn't been able to hold anything down for 2 days that all I could do was just lay there and hope to God some food fell into my mouth, and then I was able to hold it down. My roommate, Rocco Arrigo, I love you. Thank you to this day for bringing me pillows and tea and anything else you thought would help into the bathroom while I camped out there for a good 48 hours every time I got my period. And being a wonderful, wonderful man and human being, and an embodiment of the divine masculine, and being there to support the divine feminine when she needed you. Thank you. But I hope you had somebody in your life that has helped you out if you have these bad periods. So suffice to say, I tried everything. I did a Western medication. I was on birth control and narcotics for a very long time. I was one of the high school kids that had the medicine in the locked up cabinet because it was serious narcotics. Batman was really colorful to me. I only realized later in life that the show was not nearly as colorful as I thought it was. I tried everything that I could think of. In fact, when I left high school and I was in college, and you know, your parents' health insurance in those days ran out, I actually was a bartender, and I would trade shifts with people. Like, I would open the bar and I would stay and I would take the closing shift. I'd stay for the whole day in order to trade for Vicodins, something that would kill the pain. Not because I was doing them, but because I would hoard them for the first day of my period in case I had to work. Because you can't call out of work all of the time. So I would hoard a couple of Vicodins every month. And then if I had to use them that month because I had to work, I would use them. And if not, I would hoard them for the next month, because 1 month it was going to happen that I would have to work. I'd not be able to get out of it. And I wouldn't be able to function if I couldn't pop serious narcotics to make it so that I could stand upright. The timing was crucial, because if I didn't get them in there before the puking started, that was bad. So you get the drift, right? I was not good, and I tried everything. I tried acupuncture. It was great, but you had to do it consistently every month, all the time, and that's not cheap. I went to chiropractors. I went for Reiki and receptor tonus technique for muscle spasms and muscle work. I did everything that you can think of. I tried Chinese herbs. I tried everything. I really did. And it took me a long time, and it took me until I actually was still working in restaurants. I had been a professional dancer, and I had ended my career. Knee surgery or end your career was my choice, and I went with end my career. Been in it for 20 years. It's okay. And I actually decided, I was teaching yoga, I was teaching Pilates, I was teaching ballet barre classes, and I was still in this really bad place with my menstrual cycle, and I decided to go back to school to become a health coach, right? I mean, at this point, this is where I'm going, and maybe if I could stop having a physical job, bartending, working in restaurants, teaching fitness classes, maybe I could at least not have to call out sick when I got my period. So I thought I'd become a health coach, and then at the very least, I could help women and athletes, because I've been an athlete my whole life as a dancer. I thought I'll help athletes, you know, I'll help them train, I'll help them eat well, I'll help them really fuel their muscles. And I had moms of 3, because I please, as soon as you're a mom, you're an athlete as far as I'm concerned. You are running an 18-year marathon. So I was working with moms, I was working with, you know, marathon training clients, I was working with bike clients. I was working with all kinds of awesome clients. And I actually started doing this cleanse, which has turned into my Happy Hormone Reset cleanse that I do now twice a year. And it was the first time that I had a happy period. I actually didn't know it was coming. And from a girl who had mood swings that could have, you know, I could have lit fire to the island of Manhattan and been just joyfully cackling over the blaze. I didn't know I was going to get my period. I had the first surprise period of my entire life because I didn't have my PMS symptoms that I normally had. I did feel a little bit fatigued and tired, but that always happened at like 2 weeks before I got my period. I had a little bit of pressure, like the beginnings of cramps, but again, that happened like at least a week before I got my period. And I went to the bathroom one day and I got my period, and I just thought, oh my God, I don't know what's happening here, but this is incredible. So I have turned that reset diet into a cleanse that people can do. I also still do it twice a year, every year, and I've actually adopted things out of the cleanse that I now do every single day. That's part of my hormone balancing and adrenal resets. And I now, this month, when I got my period, I got up in the morning, I made breakfast, I went to the bathroom, I got my period. Oh, well, I knew it was coming. I knew it was going to be pretty soon. It was around the new moon, so I knew it was coming because that's where I've been lately. And I proceeded to get into the car, drive to the post office, send out 17 yoni eggs and package and box and hilariously banter with the post office guy who wanted to know what I was sending, and I told him. That was a fun conversation. And then I drove to San Diego and sat with one of my good friends, Sarah, while she dyed my hair bright, bright red. And that was the first day of my period. Had that been 3 years ago, I would have had to cancel everything to be in the bathroom for the whole day and the next day. That's how far I've come. I'm actually a functioning, happy human being who chooses often to spend the first day of her period not dealing with the rest of the world, but when I have to, I can, and it's fine. That is the power of all of these things I'm going to teach in the next 3 days. And I promise you that no matter how bad it is, I have been there. I'm right there with you now. I can empathize like no one else in the world can empathize, believe me. So now I started my health coaching business. Of course, I did it all wrong and I totally burnt out because I wasn't taking care of myself and I wasn't taking care of my hormones and I hadn't quite put all the pieces of the puzzle together and I burnt out. But when I came out of that burnout, I put together this very business and named myself the Period Coach. And like the phoenix rising from the ashes, I have put together something that I know you guys are going to love. And this is where all of this amazing stuff comes from. And this is why I got the opportunity to do all of this research that I can share with you now. So I know you want to know about how the moon in the sky affects the moon in you, right? Your moon cycle is sometimes the menstrual cycle is called. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about how the taboo started and why we were separated from the moon in the first place. What a witch really is, how our cycle is related to the moon. We're going to talk about the phases of the cycle so you can really get in there and start learning. And we're going to talk about some of the power in these phases, especially in the next couple of days, all right? So the taboo started, well, the taboo really started before this, but there was a document called the Malleus Maleficarum, which means literal translation, I believe, is the witch's hammer, right? The witch hammer, that should sum it up for you right there. It was written and published, well, it was published in 1486, and over the course of 150 years, 250 years, over the course of 250 years, 9 million women were murdered because they were deemed witches. Just think about how many women that is in the 1400s, early 1500s. 9 million women, 9 million people were murdered because of this document. And this document was a description of how to interrogate, torture, and murder a witch. It was used to help inquisitors corner women into admitting they were witches, and then it actually instructed them not to stop with that one person, but to get them to implicate as many people as possible before death. So they might be saying something like, we won't kill you, but we'll kill your family if you don't confess to being a witch. And then when you're in the midst of dying and they're keeping you alive, they're asking you who else is a witch, because they need to take as many people out as possible. And there's a reason for it. The reason is because the church got to keep everything. Once you were killed as a witch, the church got all of your worldly possessions. So they really did this with all of the rich women first and then worked their way down. But there was also the true believers in the church that really did believe in witches, and they did recognize that the peasant women were the real witches because they were giving herbs to women to help. They were helping with childbirth. They were the doulas. They were the midwives. They were the comfort givers during illness and sickness. And they really realized that that's why people are loyal and dedicated. And they did do more than just murder the rich women. But that also being said, entire villages were taken out. All of the women murdered in entire villages, and the church got to keep everything in that whole village. So there were absolutely men that were in the inquisitors that were killing from this belief that they were destroying witches and saving Christianity or Catholicism, and there were also the ones that were just in it to turn a dime, which is how we ended up with 9 million murders. Now, that only tells you how it started. But imagine if this has been going on for hundreds of years, the lifespan is 30, lots of generations, 3 generations in 100 years. You're being tortured. You know that when one person in your village is taken to be tortured, that more and more women are going to be tortured because they're going to give names, and eventually you're going to be on the list. You stop trusting other women, and it's not the other women's fault, but you can't, for your own personal safety, forget your lover, your husband, your kids, wherever you are in your life. You have to stop trusting other women, because even family members at this point are your enemy. And after 200 years of this, in your genetic code, in your epigenetics, you view other women suspiciously. You are competitive because there are limited resources. You don't trust another human being because you do not know, and that is embedded into your DNA. It's now been handed down generation to generation to generation to generation. This can be said if you're of Asian descent or African descent, you may not have this level of genetics. This is absolutely someplace that the Catholicism was, but that did go around the world, right? There were outreach all over the world that had similar effects. Maybe not because of this particular document, but we know that the Holocaust survivors passed down the same untrustworthy, fearful stress hormones to their children and to their children's children. We know that. We know slavery handed down those same genetic codes. So we spent a lot of time on this planet as women being oppressed for all kinds of reasons. In your genes, somewhere along the lines, this has happened. And this is our chance now to recognize it and let it go. Bear with me. There's no one left alive to be mad at. There's no one that we can strike out against. The only thing we can do is trust each other again. So that's what I mean by letting it go. Get a circle of women together, give them your trust, ask them to trust you, and then do it. Be trustworthy. Hold yourself accountable and be trustworthy. It's the only way that we can heal at this point out, which is why I love moon circles. This is why I love the red tent, because it's women coming together every new moon to be in ceremony together, to love, to laugh, to cry, to mourn, to celebrate. And this is what we've always done in our red tents, or moon huts, or moon lodges, or whatever they were, wherever you were, wherever your ancestors are from. Because there's always one. There was always a celebration for women, no matter where you were. Just as circle dance was the first form of communication for human beings. Sound, stomping, dancing. We told stories through circle dance. just as circle dance was our first communication as human beings before we had language, before we could talk, the red tent, or whatever name you want to call it, has been where women have come together from the beginning to bleed and work magic. So we are all on some level a witch, and feel free to just dive into it. Yeah? All right, I hope you're with me. Okay, so obviously healers were witches. Herbs are a big no-no. Anyone helping other women, providing comfort, giving birth and helping, you're a witch. You know, we were supposed to be cursed women. We were supposed to be in pain because we were suffering for Eve's sin, right, in the garden. So we were always witches, and we have a competition mindset, but we don't need it anymore. Now we need to support each other and help each other, and this is the only way things are going to change. So let's all be witches. Let's do it together as a team. Let's support each other. Let's give each other comfort. Let's cheer each other on. Let's spread the love. And really, that's it. That's being a witch today. Spreading the love, having a circle of women that you cheer on and help out, that you comment, like, post, share, help other women, help change the conversation, defend each other, especially with what's going on right now and all of the male masculinity and all of the sexual aggression. Let's just leave it at that. So support each other, defend each other, and you can probably put on a witch hat and call it a day. You will have won. So let's set the container. We're going to support each other. We're going to love each other. We're going to comment and share our stories. We're going to ask questions, and we're going to comment on each other's, and we're going to give each other nothing but love and support. And I want to take just this moment right now for everyone to take 3 deep breaths with me. But before we do that, what I want you to do is, as we take these deep breaths, actually maybe we'll take more than 3. We're going to take a couple of deep breaths together. And during these deep breaths, I want you to inhale all the way to the womb, to the very bottom of your pelvic cradle. Inhale all the way deeply to the bottom and fill your body just as it is a beautiful vase, filling with air, just like a vase would fill with water. I want you to fill that body with air of yours and then exhale and release it. While you're doing that, I want you to envision very beautiful, clean, clear chi coming in through this third eye and going deep into that womb space and clearing it out and connecting you to all of the other wombs, all of them, no matter what they are, no matter what they carry, no matter who they're in. I just want you to take this moment and these breaths to find that sisterhood with yourself, with everyone around you, with all the women listening, for all of you watching the replay. It's timeless. So let's close our eyes. Let's take a few deep breaths. As you inhale, bring it all the way to the bottom. And use exhale, release. Let the shoulders relax, let the head release. Keep inhaling and exhaling, nice and deep. Inhale that clean, clear, beautiful healing energy, bringing it deep into your womb. Maybe you're bringing that clean, clear energy into an area that hasn't seen light in a long time. You've got some cobwebs to clear out. Maybe you're bringing light into the shadow of trauma. Maybe you're bringing light into a little tiny human that you're growing and letting it bathe in this beautiful healing energy. Keep inhaling and bringing that beautiful light in. And if you've got any bad juju, let it just come out with that exhale. Inhaling peace and healing. Exhaling connection. Start feeling your breath connect to the other women in the world. Start feeling your heart opening to the other women in the world. Start feeling support and love, empathy and gratitude. Allow yourself to trust. Allow yourself the confidence that your intuition will guide you to the women to trust, to give your heart to. They may not be in the room. They may not be in your town. They may be on the other side of the planet. Doesn't matter. Let's take 2 more deep breaths in. Inhale. And exhale that connection. Inhale. And exhale. Thank you for indulging me and joining me on that. All right, guys. So I want to start off by telling you there is no right, nor is there any wrong. I have seen questions in my Facebook group like, I don't get my period on the new moon. What's wrong with me? How do I get my period on the new moon? I can't figure it out. Just because traditionally women bled with the new moon, the majority of women bled with the new moon, the majority of the time, does not mean that that's the right way to do it. There is no right way, okay? So there is no right way. Please do not feel like you can do wrong with your beautiful, beautiful cycle. You cannot do wrong. You have to support yourself, yes, but your beautiful cycle is in a healing path. And now, from this moment on, you can do no wrong as long as you're attempting to do right by you. No one else, just you, okay? So we're not placing blame, especially upon yourself. Take a deep breath, let go of any self-inflicted judgment. You did nothing wrong, you've done nothing wrong. You're beautiful, all right? So back in the day, we saw women calling the moons new moon, the red moon, and the white moon. And I have seen it both ways in modern writing, where some women say bleeding with the full moon is called the red moon, and some women say bleeding with the full moon is called the white moon. I honestly, whichever way resonates with you better, great. I'm not here to judge how it works for you in your own mind. And you don't even have to think that. You can think I bleed with the full moon and call it a day. You don't have to give it a name at all. But I have seen women creating things out of the red moon and the white moon ideas, and I think it's a beautiful idea. So whatever works for you and what resonates for you. I've also heard the stories of how the wise women, the healers, the shamans, the women who bled with the full moon were the wise women because they bled with the full moon. And I think I honestly think it's the other way around. I think the women who were on the off cycle end up being the wise women because they were the ones that were active when all of the other women were in their menstrual phase, and they were the ones probably grabbing the chocolate and the bottles of wine and, you know, running the kids out of the tent and making sure the men didn't set fire to the village, you know, the usual, the same stuff that they do now. So I think it probably happened more like that. I don't want you to think that if you aren't bleeding with the full moon that you cannot be a healer, because we are all women, we are all healers, and that is just how it is now. We are all healers for the people around us or the people that we're speaking to around the world right now, you know? So it doesn't matter. But I do love watching my own cycle because I swing from bleeding on the full moon to the new moon and back. And I'm going to give you a little insight on why I think that happens. We women are cyclical. We swing. We go through a year every month. We go through summer, spring, fall, winter, all of it, every single month. So to shift with the moons makes perfect sense to me. Of course we do. We move around with the moons. But I do know that there is a way to help regulate your cycle. This is Lunaception. It's actually an amazing way to help regulate your menstrual cycles. So if you're somebody who has a very sporadic or regular period, or if you're just somebody who wants to get your cycle to be a little bit more predictable, you're going to want to try to do this. And I think that this kind of is every woman. I've not met one woman that had no interest in giving this a try to see how it worked. I did it for a couple of years, and I could tell you when I was getting my period down to the hour when I was doing this. And the only reason I'm not doing it now is because I move constantly. I'm a nomad, so I'm always moving, and I do my best, but sometimes things just get lost, and So I did this for years, and I swear to God, I got my period every 28 days around lunch. Every day, every time for 2 years. It was amazing. What you do is you sleep in a pitch black room. And I don't care if that means you need to get blackout curtains for your windows, or move your bedroom to that windowless room in the back, or you get a really nice fancy sleep mask that has like the extra padding bump that goes over your nose, whatever it takes. But you sleep in pitch black, except around the full moon. You can do 3 days, the day before, the day of, and the day after of the full moon, where you sleep with some kind of light. Now, if you live in the country where there's not a lot of light, great, because then all you have to do is open your curtains, and then you've got the full moon and you've got light, and that's it. That's all you have to do. If you're someone who lives in a city, I did this in New York City, I did this in Los Angeles, you can't do that, right? I've lived in 2 major cities. There's no opening the curtains. That's crazy. It's, sirens and crazy people and lights and drunks, and just everything is going on 24 hours a day. So you can't do that. So I have the sleep mask and the blackout curtains, and I've used both. I use a salt lamp for myself, and I just have this nice, cute little pink salt lamp, and I turn it on the day before, the day of, and the day after the full moon. This does not lead to the most relaxed nights of sleep, but it does lead to your pineal gland recognizing that there's more light right now, which it interprets as being the full moon. Your body, that big, beautiful water system, goes with the tides, and your body, she's gonna feel the pull of the full moon. Now, if your pineal gland is going, yep, it's the full moon, we've got light, let's do this, we've got full moon hormones happening here, and your body is feeling that tide of the full moon pulling, your body's gonna go right into rhythm. And it's amazing how quickly, it can take even just 2 months of sleeping like this to start seeing more regularity in your cycle. This is something that I absolutely teach in my programs, and I have absolutely seen it work for women in my programs as well as just clients and telling people like I am right now. So it's pretty amazing, and that energy just washes over you. And we are affected by the full moon. There's no way to get around that. I was a bartender in New York City. One of my friends was a nurse in New York City, and he and I would make sure we had extra staff on during the full moon. I made sure I had extra bar backs or bouncers or just a couple extra bodies in the bar to break up fights and get stupid people out. My friend made sure that there was extra staff in the ER because they saw a spike every single month in people coming to the ER, probably from my bar, sorry, but coming into the ER because of the full moon. Now, if a bar and hospital in New York City are willing to admit that the full moon has effect on people and staff accordingly so that we are not put into a bad position, I don't see why anyone else would say that the full moon doesn't have an effect on people. We spent money on extra bodies to make sure that we were properly staffed to deal with the influx of lunatics that would come in during the full moon. No one spends extra money if it's not something that obviously happens all the time. So I know it's anecdotal, but New York City hospital system is not going to spend extra money on nurses for the full moon if they didn't know that the full moon creates an influx of activity. So we know that the full moon makes us more energetic, makes us more extroverted and outgoing. We know that because we see it in these two very obvious places and two very different places. You cannot say that these two places end up with the same clientele most of the time. Not to say that being in a bar does not occasionally land you in the ER, but there you go. So what I do love is that typically women ovulate with the new moon. So women are ovulating, which is when we're very extroverted. We have a lot of energy during ovulation because our body wants us to go out and get pregnant. I mean, that's its purpose is to, I know. But genetically, a lot of us, not all of us, I don't have a kid and I'm 36, so not all of us, obviously. But our body does go, okay, we're fertile right now. Let's go get some action. And then you make the choice that you don't want to end up with a baby at the end of the fun action portion of the event. So that's okay. But that's the full moon. It has that effect on everybody, man and woman alike. So we have this extra burst of energy and we have this full moon burst of energy. So when our ovulation and our full moon are at the same time, we are up like you wouldn't believe. And one of the best signs of being unbalanced is when that turns into very manic energy. When your up is so up that you are out of control, taking risks that you would not normally take, starting major projects that you're not going to finish. These aggression, angry aggression, suspicion, being really like all my friends are shifty, being really suspicious. Those kinds of things are clear indications that you're actually out of balance hormonally. So if that's how you feel during the full moon or during your ovulation phase, that's a sign that you're out of balance. Just throwing that out there. And then we go into the new moon, which is theoretically when women are getting their bleed, and we come into that introverted time and space. We want to be more in our own worlds at that time and kind of nest and hang out and relax. So we have these balances, but like I said, I swing, and I know a lot of women who bleed with the full moon, and this is one of the positions that I'm in as the period coach is I get to see women in all of these circumstances, and they tell me about their periods constantly. And I love it. Keep the stories coming. Please don't stop. But I see women, I see a lot of female entrepreneurs, right? Because I have a program, Your Business, Your Flow, that's all for women entrepreneurs. And I see women who start to bleed with full moon because they've got a big project coming up. They're launching a new program, or they're working a new job and they've got a big project that they have to complete for their new job or their old job or whatever. But I see women who have these really big goals, and I see that their cycles start to lengthen or shorten, whichever one, but I see them start to get to bleeding with the full moon. And I think that is to balance our energy out in a way, because we will have that full moon energy, but we'll have also that menstruation energy. So you've got this amazing yang energy and this really amazing yin energy, and you've come to a nice balance. You know, you've got the yin yang symbol with the, the two black and white fish. You've got a really beautiful balance at this point because you've got both energies, which is great when you're working because you have that creative influx of your period. And we're going to go into detail about just how freaking magical your period is. And I know you don't believe me, but you will, but not today. But you have this beautiful creative magic that is sitting there, right there, waiting for you. And with that full moon energy, you can actually apply it and make things happen and work. And not to say that I want you to go crazy, work through it, but you can. And then as soon as that project ends, I see women's cycles start to lengthen out or again, short again, and start to sort of flow and ebb. And they go into now this place where they're starting to bleed around the new moon, yin energy, introverted energy, and they're getting their bleed now with the new moon. Yin energy, introverted energy, and I see they just disappear for a couple of days. They get offline, they go and just hibernate and nurture and get into their egg and their nest and they just take care of themselves in a big, big way. And I see that with my fempreneurs because it's just, I really do think because it helps you to go through the self-care nurture cycle, but it also keeps you into the taking care of the world cycle and helping get that message out there and helping other women and doing all of these things. And it always happens with the girls who have that drive to do it, really achieve it. And it's amazing to watch happen. I also know a mom of 5 who does the same thing. And I think that's just so that she doesn't go insane during the full moon or the new moon. She's a rock star, P.S. So I really think it is a way to balance the two worlds, which is why there is no right or no wrong. No right, no wrong. You have to listen to your own energy, and you have to listen to this external moon energy, and you have to decide how you interpret it and how you use it and how you transform it to better the world around you and the world inside of you. Do not forget in your mission to make the world a better place, to also make sure that you are taken care of. Otherwise, you cannot make the world a better place. It's just the bottom line. So we go through these 4 phases, and we're going to go through them more tomorrow. But we're going to go through these 4 phases, and I just wanted to leave you with the idea of charting and connecting the moon to your chart. So I'm talking about the energy that we have with the moon, right? How we get that extroverted, out there young energy during the full moon, and that introverted nesting energy, yin energy during the new moon. Now, how does that apply to you? Well, there's one really surefire way to find out, and that's through charting. I developed a chart this year, and I specifically wanted it to have a way to track the moon phases. So I'm giving you, everyone who's on here right now, because I'm going to go in and I'm going to see who is on this live. And if you're someone who does not have my chart already, I'm going to send it to you. Just free, no nonsense. You're getting this chart. It actually has an image of the moon. And on the moon, you can color in where the moon is. So, you can color it completely in if it's a new moon, or you can leave it totally uncovered for a full moon. And you can do whatever colors you want to use and have fun with it. But you chart the moon, and then you say how you feel. And around the moon, there's flames. And those flames are your energy. And if this is just where you start with this chart, that's totally fine. Just charting the moon and your energy for that day, and how you feel, and start to see that pattern of the moon and your energy, and see, does your energy rise as the moon becomes full and then dip as the moon comes down? You don't even have to be menstruating to have this. You can be a dude and do this. You can be a wise woman beyond her menstruating years and do this. You can be a kid and just want to learn and do this. Anybody can do this. You don't have to be a menstruating woman to do it. You don't even have to be a woman not on birth control to do this. You can be on birth control. You can be not even getting a period and do this, because if men are affected by the moon, so are you, regardless of your birth control status, your bleeding status, any of that. So you just start seeing how the moon affects your emotional being. Now, there's also a flower on this chart where you can actually chart your moods. And then you can really start to see more, right? Because now you can see how your moods were. You can see how your energy was. You can see what the moon phase was. And it's so cool to watch. So I'm giving that to you guys. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And when you pop into the email list, you'll actually get a series of emails that will help you interpret it even more. So you're going to love it. I hope you enjoy it. And I would love to hear from you. In fact, I'm going to refresh my feed and make sure that there's no questions yet. But I really want you guys to know that you can start doing this, because it's so amazing and super helpful. Okay, cool. I'm not seeing any questions in there. I'm gonna go pop into the Facebook group and make sure that there's no questions in there. So the majority of the time, for the majority of women, we bleed on the new moon. And that's why I say, absolutely use the power of lunaception, because that makes a really big deal. Okay, so there's some people having a little technical difficulties. Sorry if you're watching this replay and you're one of the people that had technical difficulties. I'm so sorry. So then we're gonna go tomorrow and talk about all 4 phases of the cycle and the seasons that go along with them. So you can see how the moon unfolds along with the seasons and your menstrual cycle. And then we'll talk more about all that good stuff. So we have our bleeding with the moon, and it's following our energy. So being able to see your energy and the moon is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so use that lunaception, sleep with the moon, because you won't be able to really see how much of an effect it has until you get your pineal gland in on the action. So let it do what it's supposed to do and help you to regulate those hormones. Another tip that I have for helping that is to have a really good bedtime ritual. The same thing in each, at the same time every night, no matter what it is. So you want to be able to, if it's putting the kids to bed and that's the beginning of your bedtime ritual, great. If you live alone, perfect, because then you can have an amazing bedtime ritual. But whatever it is, no matter what your set of circumstances are, put your bedtime ritual together. And whether that's screens turn off 2 hours before you go to sleep, and it's time for family dinner, and then it's time for reading a book, and then it's time for taking a bath, and then it's time for brushing the teeth, and then it's time for grabbing the sleep mask, and then it's time for bed. Great, that is a beautiful ritual, and that's a pretty common one, so you would be in really good company. Now you can go as crazy as you want with this and make it as fancy as you want, or you can keep it as simple as an hour before I go to bed, I'm turning the screens off and I'm disconnecting from the rest of the world. In that hour, I'm gonna get myself together for tomorrow, lay out my clothes, brush my teeth, whatever it is, and then go to bed. But make sure it starts at least an hour before you go to bed so that your body can go, oh, bedtime ritual, we're getting ready for sleep. Let's start shutting some things down, okay? You want it to at least be an hour before bed. Now, if you can make screen time and 2 hours before bed, even better. All right, so give it a go. Let me know how it's going. Please comment in the Facebook group. Let me know what's happening, what's going on. And I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow when we're gonna dive into some amazing meditation techniques, some mindset technique, and all of the phases of our cycle, how to support them in those seasons, all right? Super excited. Thank you so much, guys. And I will see you in the group or tomorrow or both. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.